So I just turned 40 last week and just returned from an epic adventure exploring a remote island called Sumba Island, only about an hour flight away from Bali, where I'm currently based. And it was so amazing to be around such picturesque environments of like epic avatar-like waterfalls to secret pools in the middle of paddy fields and secluded beaches without a single soul in sight. It was definitely something that I will never ever forget, especially with the humans that came with me on the trip as well. So I took a few days off after that trip as well to just kind of ride that amazing energy of, taking a break, exploring a new place, and just easing back into my life after that trip. And I was thinking about what kind of video I want to film you after my 40th. And actually, a newsletter reader gave me a great tip about why not share some of the lessons you've learned around life, happiness, and success as you've turned 40, and what were some of the biggest milestones of, lessons and insights that you have experienced 40 years on Earth. So this is what this video is about today. It's been quite a ride of how my life have shifted since I quit my job in 2013 and really reinvented the way that I live my lifestyle and design a business that's intentionally for the lifestyle that I'm really happy about today. And so I want to share some of those valuable lessons I learned along the way, because it's not all smooth sailing. There's lots of things that I've had to adapt to and really face my fears around in order to, in the outside eye, look like I'm living a bold life. But it takes a lot of work and clarity and trust in myself, to constantly be building a bigger life every single year. So I hope you enjoy this video of my insights and celebrate my 40th with me as well. By the way, if you're new here, I'm Lydia Lee. I'm a work reinvention coach and a solopreneur strategist at Screw the Cubicle. If you tune into this channel every single month, this is where I release tons of advice, tips, and coaching steps on how to create a career transition, move into meaningful work you're meant to do in the world, and launch a business with that meaningful work so that you can live the lifestyle of your dreams. And don't forget to hit the subscribe and the notification bell button, because that's going to let you know every time I have a new video just like this on the channel for you. One of the biggest first lessons I think I want to share with you today is the importance of aligning your decisions to a clear vision of the life you truly want to have. Now, there's so many decisions we can make in our lives. And in today's day and time of the world we live in, there's a lot of influence, right? From friends, family, social media, expectations of society. What is the thing to do that's ideal for your life? It can be really hard to listen to that voice, inside of you that knows the ultimate truth. When I quit my job in 2013, it wasn't an easy decision, but it's certainly one of the most rewarding decisions I've ever made, because it allowed me to understand what I wanted that wasn't in the expectations of what my family had suggested in my life or what I believed was the only route to success, right? And being really clear about what I want my life to be about, what I want to wake up being proud to be doing and experiencing every single day, that was really my own algorithm, my own definition of happiness, of joy, and joy and success, right? I came from a family that was an immigrant family that sacrificed a lot for me to move to Canada from Malaysia, to have access to school, right, and opportunities that gave me the education and a life that I could live that was better than what my parents had, and that can sometimes that was something I had to grapple with, right, to understand that I don't need to make a decision from a feeling of shame, right, and guilt of that expectation. I can still respect that I love my parents for doing that for me, and that it also can give me that new trajectory of going towards a path that was my own as well, that wasn't attached to someone else's narrative and story, even if it could come from deep love and relationships with my family, right? And so one of the things that really helped me to move towards the place of truth for myself, to understand what is my definition of success, happiness, and joy, was to take on small experiments to kind of try on a certain lifestyle for size. Like, when I first came to Bali, I was only meant to stay a month, and then now it's been a decade, right? But giving myself a time bounded sort of experiment of 30 days, just be there for a month and see what happens. That allowed me to not have these permanent decisions that always make me really scared to make, right? And instead gave me just small, tiny testing grounds, right, of what I wanted more in my life, and try that on for size, like a little new coat, and take it off if it doesn't feel good anymore. So that's definitely something that I still do today whenever I'm about to do something that I've never done before, whether it's in my business or in my lifestyle choices. Taking a small experiment, a tinier step, has always allowed me to, find my truth in a much simpler way, and in a way that doesn't have me, making these big decisions that I feel, could blow up my life, and allow me to kind of ease myself into the courage and the boldness and the bravery that's required for me to take big leaps as well. Now, I want to turn the lens on you for a little bit. Have you ever contemplated about stepping away from a conventional career and pursuing something different? I would love for you to comment below this video and tell me a little bit about your journey, and what were some of the things that you have to let go of in order for you to pursue something that was different from what other people expected of you, and what gives you the courage to go towards that path. The second big lesson and insight I've had is how entrepreneurship has been such a vehicle for therapeutic change for me in my personal life. And you might be wondering, what does entrepreneurship have to do with, therapy? If you were a coaching client of mine or a student, you've probably heard me say a lot that 1 year of entrepreneurship equates to like 10 years of therapy. And it's because entrepreneurship is such a vehicle, or I would actually say a mirror for what it is what you do in business, and how you start a business reflects a lot on some of the insecurities and trauma even that you've experienced in your life. One of the biggest things I've learned is I had so much to process around this idea of security. Now, some of you might know this from some of my shares in the past, is that, I grew up in a very broken home. I moved out at a very young age and didn't really have secure parental figures in my life. And this really kind of, made me very unsteady when I first started a business, of being able to trust myself, that I could provide for myself, that I was, I was secure to be able to leave my job and fend for myself as an entrepreneur, and be able to be responsible for that. That was a huge lesson I had to go through and face, of understanding how I could build security for myself to feel like I am worthy of earning money, worthy of being a successful business owner. And that took help. It wasn't something that I could do on my own. And one of the most important relationships I have cultivated in the last decade is with my own therapist, Lee, who I still see remotely. She's in Vancouver. I'm in Bali. I go see her live as well when I'm back home. And she has been monumental in helping me become the person I need to be to show up in my business the way that I want to show up for, right? In a much more bold way, and in a way that's more in tune with who I want to become in the world. So yeah, that has certainly been a game changer for me, in a way of like witnessing my behavior in my business, what I say yes to, what I say no to, and then seeing how that shows up in my life as well. That has been kind of an interesting game that I kind of look at every single year and go, wow, okay, what I'm doing here in the business side is reflecting a lot of what needs to change as well in my personal life, like boundaries, right? Asking for what I'm worth, things like that. That was also appearing in real life. So yeah, if you've ever been contemplating if entrepreneurship can be a vehicle for growth for you, I will not hesitate to say it's been one of the biggest vehicles I've been using to see myself in a bigger light, and to witness change in a much faster way by being an entrepreneur. Lesson three that has, I think, brought a lot more joy and simplicity into my life is the practice of choosing experiences over material possessions. And this has really led me to living a more minimalist life, which is a far cry from when I was, 10 years ago, living in a city, addicted to shopping. That's been quite a change for me. But what has it has helped me to experience is really knowing what's truly essential in my life, what really matters to me, and how I really want to use my money for things that really better my life, right? And that's really helped me to become debt free. That's one of the proudest things I've done for myself in the last decade, to be building a life intentionally, using my money for the type of life I really want to have. And I just think when you have less stuff, you just gain more experiences. And having that spaciousness of not having so much stuff in my house, so much stuff in my vicinity, gives me a sense of that spaciousness. I'm not bogged down by possessions and things where, I'm addicted to them or attached to them. And I think it's really given me a really true sense of freedom, which I really, really enjoy in my life today. Lesson number 4 has been all about designing a business that really fits the life I want without trying to keep up with the Joneses in the business world. It's so funny. When I left corporate, I thought I was out of corporate, a new mindset, a new behavior change. But it was very apparent to me in 2015 when I had my first business burnout, where I literally had to take 4 months off work, um, that I had been, you know, really unconsciously building a business based on what I saw out there in the online world of what was the thing most coaches should be doing to be successful, instead of listening to my own truth of what I wanted to have in my business, how I wanted to define success for myself. And going through that burnout in 2015 really changed the trajectory of my own business journey, because I really started to admit to myself that I didn't want to have a bigger business. I didn't want to have a big empire that I was taught was the only way to be successful in business. I actually really love this new thing of embracing what I call a cozy business, something that is just right for me, just enough for the life I really want to have. And if anything, intentionally designing how I want to work in that business so that I can have a life and not the other way around, right? That seems so simple as a concept, but it wasn't to me when I was busy comparing myself to other people in success, right? So that has been a huge lesson for me in the last decade, to really be conscious about what I was doing in my business that was in my genius zone, in the values that I want to operate in, focusing on one offer, focusing on one tight knit community, not doing all the things to be successful. And this cozy business is just something that just feels good to me. And I'm a big advocate for minimalist business, company of ones, solopreneurship for this reason. And I think there's a lot of people out there that may not want to build a big empire. They want to build a business that gives them time, autonomy, and flexibility. And it can be as big as you want it to be, right? So I hope that that inspires you too, that when you see out there and get overwhelmed by other people's businesses of like, oh God, I got to do all those things to be successful, really come back to that might not be for me. And maybe what I need to do is find other mentors, other examples that might be more in tune with the way that I want to run a business. And that's going to help you to take the right steps, right? By seeing what they're doing as well, being inspired by their actions and building the right business that's right for you too. Right. The final lesson, but one of the most important lessons I've really, really experienced in the last decade is avoiding the trap of hustle culture and valuing the gift of time and space. And this has really been the new metric of success. I really measure my life and business around is how much time I have to cherish the moments that are really important in my life and not to fill my calendar with busy work when I have this flex time. Right. So one of the proudest things I've been able to achieve in my business is being able to work less and spend more time on things that are really important to me. For example, like last year, going back to my birth town of Penang, Malaysia, to take care of my aunt, who's like a second mom to me as she's going through early onset dementia, and be able to spend time with her without having to worry about this big machine of a business that I had to manage while I was out there, right? Being able to take off a week from my birthday last week and be on taking trips, right? A lot more often every single quarter when I used to do that only 2 weeks a year back in the day, right? That's a new metric of success for me, to have more sabbaticals, to have more breaks in the year. being able to wake up in the morning and not start my day with an 8-hour day all the time, right? It's being able to, wake up in the morning, spend time with myself, exercise, ease myself into a work day, be very intentional about how I theme my days, right? So that I'm doing things that are more focused and not just doing a bunch of things, busy work that I think would let me be successful, but be very intentional about every single action I take in my business, because time is the biggest asset to me. Now, money is really important too, right? It's what makes the world go round. It's what allows us to live the life that we live, but it's not the only currency of success, right? So that has been a big one for me. Every time I, take on a project, say yes to something in my business, it really comes back to, am I still able to maintain, right, and design that time flexibility that's been so important for me to really live my life with much more satisfaction and fulfillment as well. And that also means, as a recovering perfectionist, as an overachiever, I've had to do intentional things like, color code my calendars. You guys might have seen my videos around theme days, right, and time blocking. I'll put that in the cards if you haven't seen it yet. It's a good one to be more intentional with your days. But I'll put in yellow, because that's a nice bright color, of just flex time, right? Things that I can just be bored in and not do anything that block of time. Go for a walk, spend time with my dog Scruffy, read a book, right? Things that are not business related. And that's really allowed me to schedule these things, right? Intentionally, not to just see if they come into fruition. It doesn't, unless you intentionally block that time off. And then not fill that block of time of flex time, that's what's literally called in my calendar, with busy work, right? Or with more to-dos of, things in life and work, but to truly just enjoy life, right? Whatever that might mean to you. Sometimes it's going to yoga class for me. Sometimes it's reading a book. Sometimes just sitting there listening to music. Those moments, I think, refuels you and reinvigorates your spirit, so that when it comes time to do work and do big things like projects in your business, you've been rested, right? And you're not coming running on empty, trying to do busy work. So that has been one of the biggest things in my lessons as well as I turn 40, is to not get stuck again in hustle culture, and to be very intentional about how I'm freeing up time, because time's all we have to experience the life and be in the relationships we want to be in and be present in our lives. And I think that lesson is one that I'll take with me into the next decade as well. I want to thank you for coming on this journey with me to reflect on my own life's lessons learned in my 40 years as a human on this planet. Hopefully, it might have instigated or inspired your own reflection on your life lessons as well, and new lessons that you might want to create for your next chapter of life and work. If you enjoyed this video, give me a little comment. Let me know what you enjoyed from it. Take a like on this video, or hit like on this video. Share this video to someone that you think would enjoy it as well. And if you want to go deeper into trainings with me, a great one and a great place to start is the 4 keys to launch a business you love, so that I can guide you through about a 50-minute training on how to make that leap towards a new career transition, how to reinvent your life and your work with the skills you already have, and what are some of the simplified and human steps that are going to be more easeful for you to be building the foundations around, so that you can launch a business you love with more simplicity, with more heart and more purpose as well. I'll put the cards up on the video so that you can join me there as well for the training. Thank you so much for being here today. I'll see you in the next video.